In this challenge, you'll be writing a program that will tell whether or not a player has won your game. You'll be hitting the space key and randomly assigning points, and once you hit a certain threshold of points, it should print out a message that says you won, and then stop checking to see if you won. So I'm going to set you up for this really quickly. So I've emptied out the main script, and like I said, what I'd like you to do is write a program to check whether or not you've won. So you're going to need a variable for your score, and then an update. If you hit space, I want you to add a random amount to the score. And then if the score is maybe, let's say, greater than 100, I'd like you to print out a message that says you won. Additionally, I don't want you to don't let the score go greater than 100. So if the score rather equals 100, you won. Don't let the score go bigger than 100. And lastly, don't let the message you won be called if the player has already won. So only let this be called out once. And you can do this with a regular method, with a return type method. In the solution, I'll show you how to do that with a void method, and then we'll convert that to a return type method. Okay, so this is your challenge. Do your best with this. And if you get stuck, I will show you a solution in just a second. So go ahead and pause the video here. Okay, hopefully you paused the video. Hopefully you figured out a solution to this. And if not, I'm going to show you a solution right now. So we know we need a variable for our score. So let's create a private integer for score. And by default, that'll be set to 0. And let's go ahead and serialize the field so we can see it in the inspector. The other thing is we probably need a variable to check if you've already won, right? It's a question. Did we win or not? So let's go ahead and also create a private bool for like has won. And by default, that will be set to false. Cool. Now let's go ahead and check for input. So we're going to say if input.getKeyDown, keycode.space. And in here, we want to add a random amount to the score. And maybe within this space key, we'll call a custom method to add some score. So let's say void add score. And we could even take in a parameter. We could take in an integer of like score to add. And then within here, we can say our current score plus equals score to add, right? And then all we need to do is call this method, add score. And we could even pass in a random dot range between like 0 and 30. So every time we hit space, it's going to randomly add some score to our score. We also need to check if we've already won, right? So maybe within this add score method, we can check if our score is greater than or equal to 100. Let's go ahead and print out the message, debug.log, you won. We also want to make sure that the score doesn't get bigger than 100, right? So if the score is greater than or equal to 100, we'll say you won, but we will also make sure to set our score equal to 100. So if somehow we overshoot that, it'll set us immediately right back to 100. And lastly, we want to make sure that this you won message isn't called more than once. So if we've won, we can also set that bool has won to true. So let's set has won equals true. And then up in here, when we're calling this add score method, let's add another condition that only says if has won equals false. So if we haven't won yet, then we can add score. And in here, if our score goes too high, we will win the game, set that condition to true, and make sure that we don't have more than 100. All right, let's save the script and test it out. Okay, so on our main script, you can see the score is 0. I'm gonna hop in here and hit space. 29, 58, 62, 64, 92, 100, and it says you won. Okay, perfect. So our script is working, but now I want to show you how to do this with return type methods. And there's a lot of different ways that we could use a return type method with this script. For example, instead of calling random.range here, we could have a return type method to return a random number and add that score there. But we could also use a return type method to determine whether or not we've won, right? So instead of using this bool has won, we could use a return type method. So let's say like public bool has won. And we can do logic within here, right? And what we will say is return score greater than or equal to 100. So if score is greater than or equal to 100, has won is true. And if it's not, has won is false. So let's go ahead and remove this bool up here, and let's remove the bool from our space key check. And what we can do instead of this right here is we could say if has won equals true. So if we have won, then we can debug.log you won. And we can set our score in case it went over equal to 100. And we can delete this here. So if has one equals true, meaning our score is greater than or equal to 100, we're going to set that back to 100 and send our U1 message. And lastly, up here for our space key check, we do need to add back in that bool check, but instead of using that bool variable, we will check if has one, the method, equals false. Okay, let's go ahead and save this and hop into Unity and test it out. Okay, our main script says our score is 0. I'm hitting space. We're up to 63, 89, and 100. You won. Okay, so our script is working exactly the same way, but this time we're using a return type method that is a bool. Okay, awesome. Good job in this one. In the next one, we're going to take a look at another challenge that's using arrays as well as methods. Okay, see you in the next one.